Services Agency, NIHSA. Engineer, delighted to have you with us this morning.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. Good morning, Nigerians.
I was teasing you a while ago that
yes,
you brought
to bring the rain as I was coming.
All right, still with us here in Abuja studio is Abubakar Adamu Usur. He's the Deputy Director of Forecasting and Mitigation of the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA. Didi, thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning, Nigerians. Welcome. Thank you for inviting NEMA to this program.
Okay, let's return to our Kaduna Network Center, where we have Professor Emmanuel Adanu, Executive Director, National Water Resources Institute, Kaduna. We'd like to appreciate your presence. And good morning, Nigeria today. Prof.
Good morning, Nigerians. Thank you very much for inviting me.
All right.
Okay, let's begin the conversation straight away with His Excellency, the Governor of Kebbi State. There have been reports, and some of those reports we have carried on our network network news, and President Muhammadu Buhari, of course, has also commiserated with the people of... Well, we should say congratulations because of the near accuracy of your forecast with regard to flooding. Unfortunately, the consequences are there for all to see. But tell us, is the worst over for the Northwest, and what is the outlook like for downstream?
Thank you for having me once again. I think His Excellency has made my job so light. Speaking as a hydrologist, the things he has mentioned, the river systems, which is, which actually is what causes the flooding. Now, they are what we call just months: July, August, September.
Just.
This is, yes, J-S.
Not
July. No.
July,
July, August, September months, and at times up to October. These are the months of flooding in Nigeria. And like His Excellency mentioned, there are rivers that are outside, countries that contribute inflow into River Niger that are outside our own control. The River Niger that takes off is called from Futajalan Highlands in Guinea. It will pass through Mali. And while in Mali, there will be inflow from Côte d'Ivoire into River Niger. Then coming down to Niger, there will be inflow from Burkina Faso, which is not actually on River Niger, but its own rivers drain into River Niger, and then moving down to Benin Republic about 40 kilometers before coming down to Kebbi State or into Nigeria through Kebbi State. Now, these upstream catchments are still within their rainy season. And there is no dam between Benin or Niger and Nigeria, that is Kebbi State. Therefore, whatever is happening from Niamey, passing through Kebbi State, passing through Benin Republic, there's a station there we call Malanville. Is a town in Benin Republic. We measure this. There's a measurement there too. So once there is a red alert in Niamey, Niger Republic, and Malanville in Benin Republic, Nigeria will be in for it. As at last night or yesterday, the height of the river in Niger is 6.50 meters. The red alert is between 6.20 upwards. So it is still within the red alert. To answer your question directly, from our own point of view, what we have seen, what we predicted, and the rainfall pattern as predicted by NIMET, I don't think we are out of the woods yet. So we are still expecting more rains with the possible flooding downstream. As of today, Kainji is still spilling water. That is downstream Kebbi State. It's still spilling water. And once Kainji starts, 100 kilometers downstream, Jeba must follow because it can't contain it.
Niger.
And yes, all of them are Niger. But again, the upper my boss, I will call him Professor Adanu, will speak more maybe when it comes to him. The Kaduna Basin, River Kaduna, the basin, the catchment that contributes water into River Kaduna, has been overwhelmed since 1st of this month, to the point that Shiroro Dam, I think, commenced spilling water yesterday. All of them entering into River Niger, and then Kogi will hear.
Let me ask you a question. You know, one of the quotes, you know, I read earlier on when we were starting our conversation says that, yes, floods are natural, you know, phenomenon. It's a natural phenomenon, even as His Excellency had indicated. But it also goes to say that the losses are largely attributed to acts of man. Now, if you consider the fact that Nigeria actually sits on a floodplain, of course, between rivers Niger and Benue, is this a reality that we have to face, or can we? Is it something that we have to mitigate? Are there plans to mitigate it?
We have to keep with it. Talk about resilience, talk about recovery. Like His Excellency mentioned, in terms of human losses, that has been quite minimized. In UK alone, about 808 million pounds is spent annually to cushion the effect of flood, you know, to bring people back to life. And the record shows that about 1.1 billion pounds being saved in terms of flooding disaster. When such an amount of money has been spent, about 808 million pounds, it saved the country about 1.1 billion pounds in terms of infrastructural losses and so on and so forth. All we need to do is to seek ways of developing resilience, adaptation. The flooding issue is all over the world. Nigeria is not the only country in the world. But our emphasis remains that we need to take proactive measures. Once the forecasting agencies have gone ahead to alert the nation, we have to make adequate preparation in terms of the location of human beings from the floodplains, and then other things that need to be done.
Incidentally, what we are discussing this morning has to do essentially with river flooding,
yes,
as against urban flooding, which is anthropogenic, as yes, experts would say. Could you clarify that one more time for the benefit of our viewers?
Since June this year, flooding even commenced much earlier compared to some other years. That's what we call urban flooding, occasioned by the inland rainfall, the precipitation within the country. And then when the flood comes down, the rain comes, the overland flow, the runoff, seeing no way to pass through, having been blocked by human beings, building structures, block the drainages and so on and so forth, there will be destruction. That is urban flooding, occasioned by rainfall within the locality. But those of some other, the states that are within the coast, like Lagos and Ondo, Bayelsa rivers, could also suffer coastal flooding due to ocean surge. And then the dry land is almost at the same level. Like Lagos, about 2.5 meters higher than the ocean level. So coastal flooding will occur in Lagos. What is happening currently is the third leg, which is a river flooding. In some locations, it will be a combination, like His Excellency mentioned, both local rainfall and the river flooding.
Wow. Well, thank you very much, Engineer. Again, we'll pause here and now bring in Abdullahi Adamu Uso, who is Deputy Director, Forecasting and Mitigation of NIHSA. Pleasure once again to have you. Already, His Excellency, the Governor of Kebbi, has indicated that NIHSA has responded, but we do know that Kebbi is not the only state that has already been affected. We have had in most cities suffer major flooding during little precipitation. However, proper urban planning should be encouraged.
Okay, and Christian Eze, cleanliness is next to godliness. People should learn how to dispose waste properly and help to keep the environment clean. Thank you, all of you. And just one of the questions here that issues that Festus Akimboyewa raised, the issue about alerting people via SMS. And I know that DG NIHSA, you have an app, which is a mobile app, which is supposed to do that.
Yes, thank you. This issue came up about 2-3 days ago at a meeting convened by the Minister of National Data Affairs, where the agency trying to add more menu to our forecasting system, alert system, develop an app, flood mobile app, which if you have it in your phone, if you click location wherever you are, it tells you what to expect at that point in time. So the app has been developed. We are still refining it, trying to work with the NCC, so that the issue of sending text messages will be activated. That's the stage where we are working towards right away. Working with the NCC, Nigeria Communication Commission, so that we will have a band wherein that we can be sending quick SMS to people, or people could send to find out what is happening where they are. This one doesn't require application like you say, I have data, I have network. No. So long as you have MTN or any other network, you can send out, just as you normally do, send out text messages. You can reach it, you give information about what's happening where you are. We are at the stage of refining that level.
Okay.
Well, engineers, I think it must have been the second time of your comment around this during this season on Good Morning Nigeria. You had expressed some concern as to the response by a number of state governments when you were then on visitation to the states to sensitize them on the flood alert that your agency had developed. Now you say Kogi should watch out. We do know that Kogi is a confluence. Nobody's talking about River Benue now, obviously, because apparently there's no release from the Lagbo Dam in Cameroon. Is Kogi ready? I know you are not Kogi state government official. And are other state governments that you earlier visited down the river, are they now more prepared than they were, say, some weeks ago, where you expressed dismay on Good Morning Nigeria that you were not satisfied with the responses to the clear and present danger that they would face if the floods came?
I think that question should have gone, how do I put it? Yes, let's see, you are here. I was addressed the Nigeria Governors Forum about 3 weeks ago. But I don't know what happened eventually. However, I made my submission to the DG, Nigeria Governors Forum. But I couldn't participate in the virtual meeting. But I'm sure I was made to understand that eventually the documents we sent to them were sent to the governors. Earlier in the year, when our application was made known, the Honorable Minister of Water Resources, Engr.Clement Adamu, personally endorsed letters to each governor in Nigeria, detailing the local government areas in each state that are likely to be heavily impacted. With all the necessary documents, they were dispatched. This matter, we couldn't go as an agency from state to state or zone to zone because of the lockdown, but we are mobilized every other social media to reach out, and I think we'll be able to reach out more than we ever did before. The response is what actually baffles us. When I was talking in February 4th, we began our sensitization program before the lockdown, where I said, as I said about 3 days ago here in NTA, that the best time to prepare for war is during the time of peace. As February, Nigeria was at peace with regards to flooding.
And even COVID.
COVID too, yes. So we expected that by that time, you can clear your drainages. You can remove structures that are within the flood plains or water flood paths. Those things could be done by then, dredging or deseating small rivers within your own catchments. Let us not talk about River Niger and Benue, the issue of deseating. But there are small rivers, small channels that ought to have been taken care of during that period, or even building or constructing drainages. They could have been done during the dry season, but most such things were not done. And again, we keep warning. For instance, in Abuja, the city, maybe the phase 1, where we are, talk about Maitama, Gariki, there are infrastructures, drainages, bridges. But go to the satellite towns, the outskirts, you talk about Lokogoma, this and that. One big man will go to FCD, FCT. get maybe 10 hectares of land. He will go and put a fence around it. Use ruler and pencil and demarcate and say plot this, plot that, and put beacons. No road. Nobody has said this is the road for the flood. Like what happened at the Estate around Day. Houses were built, no consideration was made for flood. Nobody talk about flood plain mapping. What size of drainage should we build that will convey the flood water? What we saw was a disaster about maybe 3 weeks ago in that area. So before you put any structure, especially during the dry season, be able to consult relevant authorities. Like in Abuja here, talk about the Development Control Department. They can advise you properly as to where to put structures, where to put your drainages, so as not to impede.
What could His Excellency, the Kebbi State Governor, had done in the case of Kebbi, being, river that of course overflowed?
We mentioned it earlier on, that the issues about flooding disasters are inevitable, but you can reduce the impact. Like he rightly mentioned, the human loss, even if it is one
this morning.
Thank you. I just want to put on record.
Just hang on a second. Next time you have the opportunity for putting all that things on record. Professor Emmanuel Adanu, Executive Director, National Water Resources Institute in Kaduna. We appreciate you. And by the way, he used to be Director of Dams when he was in the line ministry at Water Resources. Prof, thank you very much for being around.
All right, and that's the climax of our conversation this week on Good Morning Nigeria and the Network Service. We appreciate all of you, all your Twitter messages, and we do hope you join us again same time on Monday for another interesting edition. I am Claire Delabo Abdulrazak. Do stand against rape and rapists.